Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Rufio Phoenix here at Phoenix Code, and today I have a very concerning message to share with you. I just watched basically Internet Jesus tell me all about how there's this Australian activist thing called Project Shout aiming to censor the internet even further than it is already being censored, as the dark web has been all but basically wiped clean outside of a couple of crypto agencies and maybe the occasional Wikipedia or something like that. Yeah. So with that said, if I can't access all the cool things I remember growing up with nowadays, I'm gonna be really mad about that, because my generation was distinctly about the constant of what was the sound of fucking dial-up. So, like, I refuse to surrender my access to the internet to having to present an identification card to the internet. I fucking refuse. And right now is like the worst time for them to do this. You want to know why? Because Trump's in office, and guess what his stupid orange orangutan looking ass is going to do? He's going to go ahead and put that on his new beautiful bill, and all those executive orders. So what, it's not just like I can fight this, but I'm going to speak my piece at least. The whole Project Shout proposed this to the UK, that they should censor the internet in such a way that new companies would be created in the submarket to other companies, in which they would basically collect your ID to process whether or not you blah 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 blah, and that would be used against you in the court of law, applicable to your country or state, blah 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 blah, such and so, right? This is horrifyingly bad, dude. I don't know what to tell you. How many of you are, like, for real? I live in a sovereign state of Maine, and this is in the United States of America. And I gotta tell you, we have a phrase up here. It's called "live and let live." It really is. That's it. Yes, parents need to be more attentive to their children. I blame feminism for that specifically. It's not a matter of sexualizing children or gooner video games that go around on Steam. It's not about how certain things are played on the internet. It's not about what access. It's about censoring and control. It's about having the ability to grapple the internet in such a way that they can lock it into a submission hold, where the government then centralizes the entire use of the internet as a means of the state government in which it applies to. This would mean that they would segregate other countries eventually from each other and lock them down via different grids. Damn. If this goes off, the future looks bleak, dude. I'm living in a I guess 2025 bio-cyber tech utopia in Waterville, Maine, basically in the suburbs. Yeah. And these guys want to break down and cause fucking Karen dystopia. This is ridiculous. How many times are we going to go through this? It's an idea. This aims to target not only the few people who still remain pseudo-anonymous. There's no real anonymity anymore. And often, most time, people try to violate your expectation of privacy because they think they can convince you don't have an expectation of privacy, which is how they get away with it. But if you actually do, in fact, have a conservative right to the act of an expectation of privacy, then they kind of have to shut their fucking mouths now, don't they? Well, I happen to be on the moralist fence, and the moralist fence would also back up that your privacy is a moral obligation. Okay, so morally speaking, I'm going to say every human being on this planet deserves their privacy from their government. Their government doesn't need to be that hip deep in your wallet at all, or into your SSN or all your other information by every possible means of access. It doesn't need to be that way. On top of that, the government is currently looking into something called a CBDC, which is a cryptocurrency, which is also not necessarily a cryptocurrency. It's called a controlled digital banking currency. It's the opposite of crypto, where crypto is deregulated and decentralized, like the internet and all its aspects. The government wants to centralize and regulate the flow of the internet, as they want to also regulate the flow of currencies based on governmental control levels through banking-controlled digital banking currencies. Yeah, something CBDCs. It's the opposite of crypto. It's the communist crypto, so that you're aware. Also could be seen as the authoritarian axis kind of thing, crypto. Fuck both of those. No. Uncle Sam said no. Uncle Sam need you to say no. God damn. The government's newest and latest horrific ideas. God, it always comes from a Republican Party. It always does. It's always some dumb shit from the Republican Party. It's always the far side too that's radicalizing the inner side that gets stirred up and makes all these other things happen over here by provocation. You know, I'm like, damn, this is really not hard to. This is hard to watch, guys. It's hard to see the internet going through such an attack from just. I don't even know what to call it. In America, it's called COSA, I guess. And if Trump passes that, well, I'm getting rid of the internet then. Because you're never going to ask me to surrender my personal identification to that of the internet. I'm not in the process or practice of giving my most sensitive of information to a machine. I'm just not. I'm not. The way I've done things for so long has absolutely almost the bare minimum amounts of access to a machine. So, yeah, I won't be messing with that. I won't. Like, if the old men of the 80s and 60s want to be like, we're gonna take away your internet. Well, old men, you done goofed. Yes, we're such fools, old men. We grew up on the internet. We watched Google become Google. We made and created Microsoft and raised it to heights that otherwise it wouldn't have done solely on its own without the people doing it for them. Microsoft even made Chinese children work with the slave work of their back and sweat. But no one wants to talk about that, right? That's why corporations and businessmen shouldn't be fucking in politics. Because they try to combine the two to assert an even greater grain of control over you, or we, the people. Because right now they realize they're at odds with the people, and Donald Trump is only a monicum away from being able to watch himself turn his own countrymen against him. He's already done this a few times, I think, as per having watched the news. You know, wasn't he like assassinated attempt once or twice now? Damn, son, step down. But no, I bet you he won't. But really think about this. Men like Donald Trump, who are businessmen in politics, always turn a country upside down. This, in some form, is called the zeitgeist effect. We talked about this on the internet far before it was eventually kind of like hush-hushed, okay? But I'm going to rephrase this for you. The zeitgeist effect is the concept that there is a political hitman. Donald Trump currently is that political hitman, and they're accessing a foreign aspect to try to take even further control over your finances, your education, your access to information, and your own identity is at risk. Your real life identity is at risk. Vote no on COSA. Vote no.